Today I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we encountered as we deployed some of these generative agent assist solutions to our customers, where the rubber meets the road, as it were. I'm sure each of you, as you guys are looking at these technologies for your own companies, have your own ideas about the use cases and what you'd like to see. Hopefully, what I'll share with you today, you'll be able to walk away with some questions, certain ways of thinking, certain ways of evaluating some of the solutions that you guys are looking at that are reasonable for you as you start to deploy these things across your organizations. Specifically, though, for us, we'll be talking about deploying agent co-pilots, basically a type of solution that aims to make agents, sales, customer service, internal HR, help desk, what have you, more effective in their roles and productive in their roles by basically enabling generative solutions, ChatGPT, GPT-4, to help generate responses for them for things they may not know for whatever reason. So I'm going to start with just the problem first, so you have an idea of where we're starting from. As much as I hate to admit, and I'm willing to bet other people in this room are in that camp as well, look, our documentation isn't always the best. Like, especially for customer service and sales teams, they're often dealing with different types of files, tables, Excel sheets, internal web pages, what have you, stretched across many different internal systems. The reality is it just makes them really difficult for them to internalize this information, process it, and then return a result to a customer whose chances are maybe waiting on the phone or in some cases standing in front of them waiting to get a response because they walked in on the store. So these documents are often written in a training manner. Like we built these things to help train these agents, not always as a quick reference guide. So it just makes it a little bit more challenging for them to sort of get at the answer that they need in a timely fashion. As an example, I have here some of the documents from one of our customers in the insurance industry. And it's comprehensive, like it's great, it's all there. It's also 60 pages of full block text about one insurance plan, which an agent is expected to know 10, 15 of these things and be able to answer any of these questions. The reality is it's just very challenging for any agent, however much training they have, to know all the material. I don't know about you guys, I think I've read through my insurance plans once in my life, and I think my eyes started bleeding after page 12. To expect a large customer service organization to have uniform knowledge in this is, I think, a stretch. So this complexity causes a, say, mostly negative impact on an organization's ability to execute. Longer it takes to answer one of these questions, worse the customer service satisfaction scores go, however you choose to measure it, CSAT, NPS, sales. This kind of an experience where the agent has to wait for a long period of time while they're reading information and generating a response, it's never good. Not the least of which is that these kind of things cause a significant increase in the agent training time. And for industries, I imagine some of you are in this space as well, where your agents have a reasonably high turnover rate, or you have a seasonal business where you just need to import a bunch of people at once and sort of let them go at the end of the season, this can cause a very significant operational headache, would be generous, nightmare may be the reality, depending on the kind of business that you're in. So, as you might see, both in this presentation as well as other people here at this conference, people are starting to apply ChatGPT, generative AI solutions to help bridge this knowledge gap. We've seen a number of simple solutions out there, which basically entails dumping the entire contents of the document into ChatGPT and asking a question. And it can work for certain things, but frankly, the method leaves much to be desired. It doesn't handle things like tabular data terribly well, and when you're doing plan comparisons in sales roles, it's all tables all the time. Infographics and the like doesn't handle particularly well either. So a significant amount of data transformation needs to occur. And then there's the size of the documents. Most LLMs have a token limit for the prompt, 2K, 4K, 8K, something like that. That's about 10 pages tops for most documents, about 700 tokens or so per page. You just can't cram it all in there. It's just not feasible. So you do really need a more advanced solution than let's throw ChatGPT at the problem. I think the poster child for these problems these days seems to be the hallucination rate for these various models. I'm sure you've heard the term, a bunch of places. I'll give you my quick definition. I think it's on an industry level still a little bit in flux. It's a generated response which provides information, opinion, or fact that is not grounded in truth. And in a company's case, truth is very literally the set of documents that you provided it when you're building this thing. The bot's an extension of the company's knowledge base, and it needs to mirror whatever the company's facts are. If for whatever reason your company decided that the ocean is red and tastes like strawberries, the bot needs to be able to repeat those statements back to their customers, your users, and ignore whatever prior training it may have received. For creative endeavors like writing marketing emails, ad copy, this is less of an issue. It really comes in when your bot needs to speak intelligently about something that can be verified, i.e. your knowledge base or table or some data that you have publicly. So for those kind of solutions, and for ours in an agent copilot sense, being accurate is incredibly useful and critical. This is an example, I hope you can read that, of something that one of our customers tried to do on their own. They built an internal solution using ChatGPT and fed it, in this particular case, some insurance interest rate calculations, interest rate values, and asked it to give me the latest number. It came up with something. It's designed to come up with something. It sounds plausible, sounds great. In this case, it happened to be wrong. And it made the legal guys nervous. Maybe nervous is a good word. At any rate, it certainly has implications from a customer perception, legal, financial ramifications if any of your companies or insurance industries, healthcare certainly, goes off and it spits out a hallucination that's unprotected. If it's not accurate, I think most companies will probably decide it's not worth trying. We routinely run a hallucination rate analysis. It's obviously part of our business on various models that we use. And you can see here, this is a latest data set. We're actually going to publish this a little bit later in the week as well. But you can see the range of hallucination rates on some of these very popular models. It doesn't matter if the model gets really big, i.e. GPT-4, you're still going to have a hallucination rate. So it basically means that if you're using these systems unguardrailed, unprotected, you're looking at 1 in 5, maybe 1 in 3, as low as 1 in 10 responses having some form of a hallucination, which I think for a lot of businesses is a scary prospect. I'm afraid hallucinations, from what we can tell, are endemic to large language models. They will be there for a while. I think it's strictly in the research world of learning how to deal with and totally mitigate these hallucinations coming out of the LLMs. However, obviously companies are trying to get into play and use these technologies. But these hallucinations have caused some companies to retract, maybe is the best word. Whole companies, whole industries in some cases are blocking off usage of these models due to trust, lack of trust, reliability, if you will. And the reality, I think, is everyone here probably can look at these technologies and agree that the potential for these things is there. It can really definitely help. But if you can't innovate now and you can't protect yourself from the downsides now, it's really difficult to deploy these systems. Just diving in a little bit more, in that innovation area, it's not just response generation that you guys need to start looking out for as you evaluate your own programs. There are more things to it than just, does it say the right answer? Obviously a big part of it. However, there's other things like prompt injection, which is, I think the official definition is conniving or convincing the bot to do things that you don't want it to do. Maybe that's just my definition. But a lot of the stuff that you see out there on Twitter where the bot says weird things is a result of someone convincing the bot to phrase things in a particular way that probably the company's PR department would rather it not have done, but it did it anyway. Privacy, Other issues are also there. How do you handle PII as agents, in our case, decide to put in personal information of their customers fairly naturally into queries? Where does that data go? Where does that email address, contact information, is it processed by a third-party large language model? Is that okay for you as an organization? And lastly, what kind of audit trail are you guys generating when you're deploying these solutions? Inevitably, somebody's going to have to look at this thing a month, a week, a year, 2 years from now and review for quality and review for safety. Are you leaving behind enough artifacts such that someone can do a proper evaluation to assess risk? So our solution was to basically wrap the LLM in bubble wrap. It's a set of guardrails that protects against a lot of these issues. We basically can put in pre- and post-processing steps so that it prevents things like prompt injection. We handle PII so that those things don't actually get processed, and we sort of do an obfuscation or replacement. And then on the hallucination side, we have a completely separate LLM model whose sole job is to determine whether or not content that's been generated by the primary language model is grounded in truth, in whatever document set that you provided it. And with it, we've been able to get to human level of accuracy for a lot of these companies. That was the baseline. If you can't do as well or better than my people, I don't think I trust you to deploy. And so for our customers, we've been able to get past this kind of a hurdle. It also does another thing, which is maybe not obvious, but something for you guys to think about as you deploy your own solutions. It's a good idea to try to design something so that it is LLM model agnostic. Ultimately, we don't really know who's going to win the large language model war, whether it's OpenAI, Facebook Meta, or Google, or some open source solution that comes out of nowhere. And if you guys want to get to the point where you can deploy now, making sure you can set yourself up in a way that you can swap in and out these models in the future and to pick the best one at the time is something that I think deserves a little bit of forward thinking. This architecture allows us to swap different LLMs in and out, and we just pick the one that has the best performance at the time. Ultimately, these protections are what these companies have been working with us on to adopt these LLM solutions. And working with a number of companies across different industries. Maybe some of you see your own industries in this. But we've also recently started engaging with manufacturing and various other tech companies. From what we can tell, the problems encountered by customer service agents and whatnot, pretty common across the different industries. And the type of issues that LLMs tend to run into also are fairly similar across the different industries. So hopefully this is all something that you guys can take away from and sort of make sure that you have a new set of questions available to you. We see our kind of a solution as part of a mix. I'm sure if you guys wander through the conference floor, there's other people in this mix represented in this space. And you're probably going to need a multitude of solutions in order to get to something that you can ship and be happy with. So if you think you guys, anything like this resonates with you and fits into your strategic objectives, come visit our booth. We're by the food. It'll be easy. Plus, pilots along these lines, at least for us, for a lot of these guys, can be brought up quick. Our pilots operate in about a week, so it becomes a relatively low-cost effort to try any of these solutions and see how well it fits for you. Ultimately, I think as companies, individuals are learning how these technologies work in the workplace, pilots and POCs that are low cost, low effort, so you can quickly get your hands on it and feel whether or not this thing is going to be working for you is ultimately, I think, the right way to evaluate a lot of these solutions. I hope you guys have learned something. If not, otherwise, you had a good 15, 20-minute nap, and that's always good too. Thank you so much for your time.